My name is Erin Jones. I'm Senior Director of Sales and Audience Development here at the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. I'm also a longtime soprano in the Symphony Chorus. So when you buy your tickets next month for Beethoven 9, you will find me on the top left of the choral risers flooded with neurotransmitters. With me today are my friends, Dr. Allan Levey, Emory University professor and director of the Goizueta Institute at Emory Brain Health, and Marcel Foster, co-director and co-founder of Performance Hypothesis. The ASO really started this work really kind of beautifully with a wonderful spokesperson, Renee Fleming. She came last season to perform with our orchestra, and as part of that visit, it worked out perfectly that she was also launching her book related to arts and health research called Music and Mind. So if you haven't gotten that book yet, you should definitely invest. It's a wealth of knowledge related to this work. As part of that panel, I met Dr. Levey and also Dr. Monica Parker of the Goizueta Alzheimer's Research Center. It was a wonderful panel. And then after that, really shortly after is when I met Marcel, when we helped to host Healing Arts Atlanta, which had several arts and health events all around the city. And so after both of those events, we just knew something was happening. So we all collaborated together, Dr. Parker and Marcel and I, figuring out how we can really help Alzheimer's patients through live symphonic music. So last season, we distributed over 300 tickets to patients and their caregivers, and then surveyed them afterward to judge that impact and see what we can do further in that area. And I'll let Marcel share a little bit about that in a minute. But one thing I do want to mention is last month we hosted a concert at Ameris Amphitheater up in Alpharetta, and it was a public concert. And knowing what we know about music and health, we invited some retirement communities to join us. And when we did that, there was a gentleman whose wife was in long-term Alzheimer and dementia care. And he wanted to create a beautiful date night for her. So he had flowers and he wanted to have a special seat and then really enjoy the concert with his wife. And during the concert, she had tears in her eyes and kept saying, "I remember." And that's why we're here today. That's why we do this work. So Dr. Levey, I'll start with you. When we're looking at this project, why is having access to live symphonic music so important for the aging brain?
Well, first, thank you, Erin, and thank you, Susan and Hyla, for having us. We're thrilled to be partners in this Neuro Arts Initiative. We've heard a lot in the previous panel, the importance of the brain, the music, the arts, and the brain, the developing brain. Our aging brain is something we've always, as a society, sort of thought about differently, that it's a failing brain. You know, I hate to tell anybody who's getting older here, I know it's going to shock you, but your vision gets a little bit worse, your hearing gets a little bit worse, your memory gets a little bit worse. And it's true that our brain processes slow down. But you know what? Music, arts, creativity turn our brains on. Music, for example, has been shown to just stimulate all parts of the brain that we think are becoming quieter, slower in an aging brain. But in fact, music, brings out the resilience in people and the memories that often have faded. Even in a person with advanced Alzheimer's disease who really can't form new memories, can hold on to older memories. The circuits in the brain that keep our memories may be hard to elicit. They may look in the mirror and not even recognize themselves because they don't remember themselves. That's how tragic memory loss can be. But yet music, it seems it's almost stored. Parts of the brain are resilient and don't get affected in some of these late life diseases like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. And music really just can turn it on and bring out things that otherwise we just wouldn't think were still there in the brain.
That's fascinating. And I think it's really important to know too that some of those areas of the brain that respond to music are sometimes the last to go, so to speak, with dementia.
Well, it's absolutely true.
And looking at our partnership as part of this research project, not only are we looking at the patients, but also the caregivers, who obviously are very impacted as well. Can you talk a little bit about why this project might benefit the caregivers and why it's so important?
A gazillion reasons why this program has been important. First of all, when we think about how we can protect our brains and the things that we teach people you should do, like physical activity, get good sleep, empowering people, enjoying people, reducing stress, reducing anxiety are absolutely fundamental to having a healthy brain. And the music, well, first of all, if you're a caregiver, anybody who's been a caregiver has had a loved one with a late life degenerative disease, there's nothing more stressful, than losing your life partner, losing that loved one. 24-hour a day, we say, is what it means, or 48-hour day taking care of a person with Alzheimer's disease. So the stress that, is brought out, to be able to have 15 minutes of solitude, music, restore that flow and a sense of purpose, it can rejuvenate a person in short order. Secondly, the social engagement. Bringing people to the Woodruff Arts Center is just magnificent, right? You get people out communicating, interacting, and the brain turns on. So it's been absolutely fabulous opportunity.
Yes, I totally agree. I have a parenting question for you.
Uh-oh.
As a parent who has 2 young girls who complain all the time about practicing piano, what can playing an instrument do for the brain long term?
Wow. Well, first of all, I never would have thought I was here on the Symphony Hall stage because I quit playing piano when I was a youngster to play baseball. So shame on me. But it's all hope is not lost. The brain, studies have shown over and over that playing music, performing in different ways really makes the brain resilient. We know that, we heard about that in the earlier panel, early in life. But again, we've sort of been nihilistic about late in life as our brains get smaller and start degenerating. But in fact, our brains are plastic even late in life. And one of the most amazing studies that I've seen was one that was done of a twin study. Alzheimer's disease is highly heritable. 70–80% of it is heritable. But there was a beautiful study of twins in Sweden where one twin was affected by cognitive impairment and the other one wasn't. And they asked a simple question: did playing an instrument, for example, later in life, not early as a child, but later in life, did that influence the person's risk? And it turned out those twins that had played an instrument versus the twin that didn't had 64% less chance of developing Alzheimer's disease or cognitive impairment. So it's not too late to be engaged and let art turn on your brain.
So pick up the instrument that's sitting in your closet if you have left it behind.
And
Yes.
I'm going to add, Dr. Levey and I was putting out a theory that the worse you are, to Susan's point earlier, the worse you are potentially, perhaps there's more neuroplasticity happening. We'll have to research that a bit more, but all the more encouragement to pick up the instrument or draw, no matter how good or bad you might be.
Yes,
I love it.
exactly. And Marcel, to you, you've been a part of this project from the beginning. Talk a little bit about how you and Dr. Monica Parker approached this survey that we did after those patients and caregivers came to the concerts, and what did those results show initially?
Yes, so earlier this year, we brought in 190 attendees, both the caregivers and the folks living with memory loss. And of that, 52 caregivers completed the survey. And resoundingly, I was really surprised as a researcher that 84% of these caregivers either strongly agreed or agreed that they experienced joy. Oh, I'm sorry. 84% said they strongly agree with joy, that they experienced joy, and 16% said they agree. So we had 100% there, which you rarely see. But there was another question, which interests me more as an evaluator, which was, did you observe the person with memory loss exhibit positive behaviors or changes? And there we saw that 64% strongly agreed or agreed, and then 36% disagreed. So that was an opportunity to say, well, how can we strengthen this program? How can we change that? What kinds of observations can we see? And so with Dr. Parker now, we're going to be continuing this research, and I'll let you share more of the exciting details on that. But in December and for the next 2 years, we will be building out this pilot survey to be looking at all kinds of different constructs for essentially engagement, joy, social interaction, and other constructs we'll dive into in just a moment.
Yes, and the good news is Dr. Parker with the Goizueta Research Center submitted this project to the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, and we just found out that she was awarded $200,000 over 2 years to continue this work. And so thanks to that, I know we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So do you want to talk about kind of how we're going to approach that for this season?
Yes, so thanks to amazing resources like NeuroArts, the National Institutes of Health has a music-based intervention toolkit. And throughout that are 11 constructs or areas of measurement. We will not be doing them all. And one thing that was really exciting about Dr. Parker is she said, for this study, we will not be using an fMRI machine. Yes, fMRI research is so important, but for this, she really wanted to look at other methods of engaging surveys, focus groups, potentially arts-based, to really see what that impact is beyond the fMRIs. So in that pilot survey that we talked about, we looked at emotions, social connection, like Dr. Levey brought up, and also functional status. And literally this morning was going back and forth with Dr. Parker on 2 additional constructs that come out of that. One is engagement behaviors that you see. So did you see the elder humming, tapping, clapping, singing? And the other is looking a little bit more critically at potential stresses that come for the caregiver in coming here. My grandpa, he had severe Alzheimer's. And sometimes going out, it created stress for me as a caretaker because it meant, okay, I have to debrief him on what's going to happen, and we want to delve a little bit more into potential stresses and how we can address that in the future.
It's fantastic. I'm so excited about this work, and I'm so thankful that because of a visit from Renee Fleming, this whole world has been cracked open for us. What a brilliant and lovely way that this has all happened. I could talk about this all day, but I know for the sake of time, we probably need to wrap it up. So I will bid adieu to both of you. Thank you so much for all of your help and your work in this. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.